Young Shaka Zulu, who knew the dude would grow from YouTube, evolve from Boo Boo, alter what I've been through. My sister knew jujitsu, move just like Vishnu. Yes, we pay dues and let that 223 choose or kiss my blue suede shoes. Never look in my eyes. We hold the meeting outside. The element of surprise, the elegant and the wise. Elephant is my size, the testament that don't lie. Heaven sent, so we fly. Represent till I die. Nothing else but Saga City. We drink whiskey out of double D titties. AK got 50, just to bless the holy shitty. We show no pity or no mercy. That's even if your pocket's hurting. Rolls Royce or the casket curtain. Pleasure or the treasure searching. You niggas know I push that work in. That's for certain. They call me Father Merchant, the Martian lurking. They got your baby mama twerking and baking biscuits. Everybody's your servant in the gangster living. This is the money religion. We let the games begin, divide the boys from men. We let the games begin, divide the boys from men. We let the games begin, divide the boys from men. We let the games begin, divide the boys from men. We let the games begin, divide the boys from men. We let the games begin, divide the boys from men. You see, I try to stay classy, but niggas don't like respect. A bunch of goons with hair on spoons and tattoos on their neck. A bunch of fools that'll lose their whole life in a bed. Around whores and corsets, more or less. Money's merry distress. When they birth life and death, we ask who fathered this mess. The dead from a pregnancy test got you asking what's next. Sell your flesh, cause you deserve the best, don't ya? Never know the aroma from a hairy choncha. Never know what side you want until your life's a goner. With that beef, we squeeze like limes on my Corona. From California to Florida, we survive with slanted eyes and mob minds. Nigga, this is God's grind. We will see in due time. Put belief in new crimes. Relief is for the good guys. Release the weak from true lies. Let them meet the chief of the blue skies. Why not? I'm from the 90s, nigga. It was dark and hell was hot. We let the games begin. Divide the boys from men. We let the games begin, divide the boys from men. We let the games begin, divide the boys from men. We let the games begin, divide the boys from men.
Dealing off the turf like it was never gonna run dry, that ain't no business. No other game runs so disorganized. Look around. Everything that is taking care of business is together. Dig it tight.
The Coptic. Everybody said they was gonna hold me down. Till I wrote a couple books, niggas don't know me now. Broke the whole world down like an OG Kush Brown. Then I passed it all around, cause I'm known around town. And I can't be greedy, gotta get to the needy. Gotta live in the city, in the bright lights fight. Everybody think they tight, but the 5 mic tribes don't cover no type of dance. You get no second chance when you fall with the dog head balls in your hog headlights in the fog. In the middle of the desert, we was counting chips together. Then I saw your bird feathers, then your flock got measured. Watch your body drop like hot embers. When we speak business, don't have the hot temper. Never was a pretender, just need to go get her with a fat dairy. We put 2 in the air. Did she think that there's a bear and ride me in the chair till the time got lost? How you test God? I already hung on the cross. How you test the devil when I pissed on the cross? We're some spaceship, bitch, it's time to live, dog. You get with Chris the Golf, oh hell, the A-dog. The bill, it pays off, yeah, cover your mouth. Watch your mouth, cause it gets very scary, that's out. Boss, what's that about? Leave them hanging on trees, so screens of G's, yeah, they be in the breeze. Seen so many things, cartel, money, sour cream and the cheese. With the guacamole, I'm the one and only. Halo homie that gave you the OG holy. No one is before me, better know it. Show gon' show it. It's that Holy Ghost shit with my Bloody Mary. On the block you love, getting dust with my fairies. I'm concealed with the carry, I'm too real for the sherry. For the likes and comments, you'll wish and promise. Shit you spit be garbage. Can get with a mix of pits and 5 mint. I'm a super soaker. Never will a troop be over for the hot God, Ruger holder when the ice makes you colder. Advice for a true soldier, what a loose of a soldier. You are Joe without a job, so throw the street to the mob. Hoes want the boyfriend, then give him a bob. Cause I need me a slave, free labor as always. Been the way to get paid. Came from the grave of strange truth decay. Never lose my way. This is presidential credentials with a gritty nipple. Big hips on the bitch, call her hungry hippo. Hop in the Hummer like the blunt with the zipple. Make life so simple. I'm a all another nigga and you bitches in the middle. This is Batman, Robin, the Joker and the Riddle. Poke holes in the little. This is God official. In the blood, in the tissue. You don't want that issue. Grandma will miss you. Mock my words, the block will burn. When it's not your turn, better plot and learn. Cause when ain't turn, it's not your concern. Sing like a mockingbird just to get out the cage. This is undead covered in a werewolf's rage. Count Dracula game. Sleep during the day. This is nocturnal. Glock burn hoes. Dante's Inferno. Fame size of a kernel corn. 82, 83. Yes, a pimp was born. Wanna hate on me, take it up with the Lord. And don't say what for. Don't be jealous of the good fellas. Niggas got a good grip of what the truth tells us.
Yoski broski. What is good in the motherfucking house? Yeah, I appreciate everybody showing up to the only place in the world, the only place on the internet called the Money Religion. The God 720 is here. Yo, I will not fail you. I will not fail the fans. People been demanding me to do this rap shit. You know, for a minute. I was disgusted. I was disturbed. I was, I was disappointed. You understand? But if you're going to be in love with something, you have to be blind because there's going to be flaws. There's going to be error. You know what I'm saying? And within that, you have to stay blind to the shit stain. And rap has a lot of shit stain, But we are choosing to be blind. We will be blind in the element of love today, okay? And forevermore. And just don't be blind to the assaults that come. We must be prepared for battle. But if you're going to love someone or love something, it is best for you to be in love with the flaws of the thing first, or of the person, and it's here now. I'm definitely in a position. I designed everything the way I've designed it on purpose, specifically when it comes to my music. For us to get the big bag, so you as my fan can say that you fucked with me way before the whole big screen element of things. You know what I'm saying? But I'm tired. My homie told me, he was like, bro, you be treating hip hop like, a girl from the hood, from the ghetto that always be, calling you to come over there and splack the draws. And I don't. I go through every now and again, just, beat it up and leave, and don't give a fuck, and that shit sort of hit me. That statement hit me. He said that shit to me years ago. As a matter of fact, the nigga who said that to me is the nigga that's on the song In the Middle of the Night. He's the one that comes on with the vocoder first before I do my verse on the second verse. And he makes phenomenal beats, and he's thrown me a couple of beats. The brother said he has a beat for me. Do not think, let me tell you something about beats for the 720, okay? Never put your mind into a space of, I'm going to make a beat for 720. You can't do that with me. That's not how it works. How it works is you be free, you do your thing, how you do your thing, okay? You make a bunch of beats, okay? And then you send me a bunch of beats to choose from. Because I had a nigga one time send me 70 beats, and nigga, I couldn't fuck with not one. I'm going to fuck with music, and I'm going to fuck with a beat that, me and the beat, we are walking down the aisle to be wedded forever, because that's what is occurring. You understand? So the beat has to be sexy. It has to be seductive. There needs to be pull. There needs to be representation in the beat. As you can definitely hear in my music, down south is down south, west coast is west coast, east coast is east coast. I don't really try to do this line of merging things and all of this other crazy shit. I don't do that. But now we are stepping into the modernized zone of beats. So if you got some weekend sounding shit, or if you got some, some new Kodak Black sounding type of beats, or new, new Nipsey Hussle sounding type of beats, because I fucked with the Nipsey Hussle and that nigga Bino Redu, I think that's what his name is. That album them niggas did together was a slapper. You understand? So as you can definitely tell from the beats that I've chosen from and what I put out there, I could fuck with a large array of shit. Okay. And I will keep that model. And I did that for a lot of reasons. I did that for Saga City Records. You never know what I may have to produce in order to get the bag. So if pop music came through, my audience for Saga City Records is not gonna shrug them. Like, oh, this nigga was doing super gangster shit, and now he come out with some pop shit. Nah, I could do that. I could go get a little, a Canadian Indian chick and put out some pop. I could do that, nigga. You understand? I could put out some rock and roll. I have a rock and roll album, the Money Religion album. You know what I'm saying? I can fuck with a lot of different zones when it comes to music because it's all about having the ear, and I do have the ear. The ear has definitely been trained over the course of time since I was a youngin. You know what I'm saying? For real. Let me see here. You know, let me see here. Let me see here. Hold on. I got a lot of people hitting me up on my phone, and I try not to. Uh, yeah, a lot of people be hitting me. I don't be trying to leave nobody in the blank space. I don't do that ghost and shit. You know. Um, but as I stated in the video yesterday, and somebody just texted me about it right now. I don't think Trump is a racist. But I definitely will say that his cronies fucked up on the rally. His cronies really, really fucked up. You know, his cronies fucked up coming up on stage making the racist jokes. This ain't, a presidential rally, and the presidency is not a place for joking. Okay, so they really fucked up with that shit. But yeah, let's go into it. I was gonna read a section in the volume 3 on the evolution of Halloween. That is what it is titled. So I was gonna read directly to y'all. If you don't want that right now, I'll let you go ahead and state what you want. Is there a specific subject that you want the 720 to go in on? Please make it relatable, and we can do that. You dig what I'm saying? But yeah, it's definitely in a space right now where I'm gonna be taking on this rap game, and I'm gonna have to take it on ferociously, and a lot of people ain't gonna like that because I don't make no hollow ass music. And a lot of niggas make hollow fucking music. And I don't like hollow music. I don't like empty shit. I don't like empty sounds. I like for my shit to be full. That's a very interesting question. I do like that. See, this is why I demand, why I demand questions out of y'all is that I know that the brain is moving. The brain is reaching. Okay. When you ask the question, you have to reach and think. And that's what I want the staff to be doing because y'all might be just watching the videos now, but who knows, 5 to 10 years from now, you could be in the boardroom with the nigga and we going over graphs. You understand? That is the goal. So let's look at this question real quick. What role did music play in the medieval? Now, this is interesting. I like this question. I didn't go over that inside the literature, but I did go over um the punishment for bringing bad music to the game. You get put inside a thing called the shame flute. I don't think I ever talked about it. This is in volume 1. And I definitely appreciate the fact that you kept the question relative to what I do, what I is. You understand? And the medieval is in me, and there's nothing I could do about that. And it's going to be like that to the day I die. So here it is right here. This is called the shame flute. You see that? They tie your ass to the corner of the goddamn building, and you will wear this thing right here that grips in on your fingers and fucks your fingers up, while the people throw animal organs, feces, old potatoes, and apples at your head, and the little kids grab sticks to poke you with. So it reads: the shame flute or violin is a device that is sort of like a pillory for the fingers and the neck. It looks like the wearer is playing a flute. This was assigned to people who play bad music or traveling musicians. Now, music is frequency, is what music truly is. So, what role did it play in the medieval? I can't tell you directly. Um, you have your Beethovens and your Vivaldis and your Mozarts and all of that. I didn't put any of that information inside the literature. Um, because but I will tell you this about classical music. Classical music is evolved out of the mind frame of the experiences from the plague that happened in 1347. So that's why you hear a lot of ups and downs and fast and slows, and these are the rhythms of existence. Okay, these are the sounds of existence. You have the thundering. Like, a lot of people don't know that all scores for movies are played by an orchestra. All of us that are at least 35 and up have who grew up with the Warner Brother cartoons, the Bugs Bunny and all of that. All of what's going on in those cartoons, the sound, the music are actually clips from, orchestra pieces. I mean, pieces that Beethoven wrote, Mozart, Vivaldi, a lot of other ones. They wrote these pieces, and they cut them up for the going fast in the cartoon, or for things blowing up, or for the element of mystery. You got certain sounds and whatnot. And the importance for music in the medieval is definitely going to be found in the choir. The most important thing that we see is the castrati, who were the boys who were castrated in order to sing a certain tone during their singing for the church. And they say the last castrati was Michael Jackson, but that information came out after I put out the third volume. Supposedly he was castrated in order to maintain a certain tone, because what happens is that your windpipe doesn't fully develop, and but your lung capacity does. So what happens is that your throat doesn't expand, because the puberty is actually controlled by the testes. So if the whole organ is removed, then you're going to and also your height is controlled by this element. And girls liking 6 foot men actually comes from this whole castrati thing of not having, you being a eunuch, and having your privies removed. Okay, because the testes actually control your height mechanism. So what happened is these boys were castrated, and their height wasn't being controlled, so they would grow to be real tall, like 6 foot, 7 foot tall. And this is also where the social not the but where fame for male singers was first documented, as we know. Okay, there could be situations in Egypt, I'm not removing that, but we don't know. I've never encountered that information. What I have encountered is that the praise for a male entertainer coming from females first started with the castratis. Okay, and the castratis grew to be 6-7 feet tall, and they would also maintain the windpipe of a little boy, because biologically they didn't mature, they just grew in height, but their lungs would continue to grow because the testes had nothing to do with that. So then they would have the wind capacity of a grown man, but they would have the throat windpipe of a little boy. You dig what I'm saying? So that's what allowed them to have that unique voice. Okay, and that went on in Europe for about 300, 400 years. Okay, and a lot of little male children were killed or during that process because they couldn't survive the whole element of being castrated. And same thing with what's going on with P Diddy. So now P Diddy, I just read an article about P Diddy. He over here fucking on 10-year-olds and shit. You know what I'm saying? The shit is crazy. You know, why do you need that? You know, um, you know. Let me see here. So I got another question here. And uh, let me see here. Okay, I got a question here. Kanye's late registration album production is interpolated samples with an orchestra. Yeah, you gotta have that. You know, you gotta have real sound. I respect real sound in the music. That's why, I sort of depreciated the whole thing of electronic music. But this next album I got coming is going to be a surprise to all. There will be a lot of electronic, there will be more modernized sound going on. It's going to be a surprise. You're going to be really wowed by what happens with this next joint. But let me see here. Well, let me see here. This is a question. Do you think there were a lot of African Americans living in Europe during the kicked out of heaven time period? Well, they couldn't be African Americans because America wasn't established yet. But yeah, there was a lot of black people there. There was Moors there. There were gypsies there. There were, um, there was a medieval Europe was by majority rural European, but it was not wholly European. Okay. So you had the Moors, the Saracens, you had Turks, you had the Orients, everybody was there, and that's the way Europeans like it. And that's because, it is the pricking of the dead carcass, their culture definitely eats off of and survives off of the operations and the creativeness of other cultures, and we can see this in medieval Europe. But if you really want to get technical, you can see this in Rome, and you can also see this in Greece with what happened with specific wars and the taking over of land of neighboring lands and tribes around them. But you'll definitely see it more so with Rome than you do with Greece. Okay. So Rome had that attitude, medieval had that attitude, and America has that attitude. So that's part of the surviving mechanism, and there's nothing wrong with that. What the native has to understand is that there is natural law on this planet. And if you operate by natural law, you win. If you don't operate by natural law, you lose because you live in an environment of NTR, nature, my friend. And you are to be aligned with your group and your kind, and you are to defend yourself from other groups and kinds. Okay, that is number one law. Okay, and if other groups and kinds want to operate in an individualistic format and don't abide by this law, then we can do whatever we want to with them. And that's exactly what is going on. So, the ancient laws of the world, which are found in all the religions, will always be the law. And it doesn't matter if there's robots here or drones here, or whatever the fuck you think you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Um, this is a question. How much contribution to classical music can be attributed to the Moors during that time? Beethoven and Mozart are suspected to both be Moors from the studies. Yes, this is true. That is, I've heard that before, and I've come across that information. A good amount of classical music can be attributed to Moors. I don't know because I've never done a detailed research on music in old Europe. And when you got to also understand that when we say Europe, we're talking about many different countries and many different provinces. So I can't tell you directly, what the contribution to classical music is. Like for instance, the bagpipe is what they operate with in Ireland and Scotland. Well, do we know anything about the bagpipe? Are we so involved into our own selves that we're going to go out here and look for some black inventor of the bagpipe? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But one thing about um whatever studies you get involved in, don't go into historical studies always looking for the black originator. And that may be true, and you will come across these situations, but let it arise to you. Study the subject first, because just like Drake said, just because you were the first doesn't mean you're the best. And that statement right there knocks a lot of shit down. Being the first really means nothing. You know what I'm saying? Were you able to control what you did as the first, and were you able to make sure that your name stays in place? So for instance, when it comes to black males studying medieval Europe, I am the first to prove that position, and I proved it in such a format that nobody can go past this line. It's going to have to take a whole another 200 years, 300 years for somebody to go past this line. And there's more information out there. That's the why I wrote it in the fashion that I did, to let you know that there's millions of books on these subjects. They all need to be drafted. They all need to have a concentration. I mean, I could take one subject out of any one of these three books and actually write a whole nother three series on that one book. You see what I'm saying? So I definitely composed it. So you go out there and find more data, and we need to embed ourselves in the due diligence of understanding what type of environment we're in. you know um like I was on the phone with the homie earlier, and he was saying, that's what it is. you know um the medieval is in your life every single day. You utilize it every single day. It's in your operations. Mario and Luigi on Super Nintendo is medieval, if you want to get technical. You know what I'm saying? You've encountered the vampires, the witches, so on and so forth. You know, Yeah, there was. Yeah, I'll never remove the Moors from being involved in Europe and in the uprising of civilization, and especially music. They were there, they were involved, and their heads are on many different family crests. I'll never remove that. There is a very unique story on how they were erased out of Europe, and the reasoning on being, but it's a difficult story to deal with. I'll never write a book on it. Um, I think my book days are damn near at a halt. I'll be releasing a book with this new album if I can put down the supreme focus to do so, and we'll see what's going on. This album won't be released this year, though. I can guarantee you that. And that also depends on events, but we only have 2 more months until we're out of this year. Thank God. And then nobody knows what's going to happen with this whole presidency thing. So, it's all a balance on where we feel at in life. Don't forget to donate to the God 720. The brother Gene Cole dropped another bill yesterday. He got the one up on you niggas. Claim you balling out him. What's going on with the competition? What is going on? So let's see here. Y'all want to hear this whole evolution of Halloween? You want me to get to reading real quick? Let's get to reading. I gotta put it down for the kicked out of heaven. The books that have maintained me, the spirits of the medieval have maintained my whole picture. They, I must give salute to all of that. During the course of me writing this material, it was blatantly told to me, like, nigga, we gonna be with you forever. Like, this is it. They needed to be released. They wanted, company, and I went through some very hardcore psychological zones putting this material together, and I did it because there is a hole in time that I was tired of. I was, ever since a little kid, looking at history, my mom taking me to museums and whatnot, um, and I'm glad that just jumped in my head real quick. You know, if you want to know if you got a peaceful etiquette woman, take her to a museum. If she can't handle the space of a museum and she doesn't show any interest inside the museum space, it's not going to be a good longevity ride for you. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, let's go ahead and read into it. The Evolution of Halloween, third volume. Okay. Let me see here. Oh. I don't want to do that. Let's mix it up here. Okay. Get the camera straight. Oh, well, I need to be reading it on my lap. Let me read it like this. The Evolution of Halloween. Trick or treating is a modern tradition that probably finds its roots in the early All Souls Day parades in England. During the festivities, let me see here. Yeah, during the festivities, poor citizens, okay, during the festivities, poor citizens would beg for food and families would give them pastries called soul cakes in return for their promise to pray for the family's dead relatives. The distribution of soul cakes was encouraged by the church as a way to replace the ancient practice of leaving food and wine for roaming spirits. The practice, which was referred to as going a souling, was eventually taken up by children who would visit the houses in their neighborhood and be given ale, food, and money. Dressing up for Halloween gets its roots from dressing up around the sacred bonfire during the original Celtic festival. Some suggest this practice originates from England, when it was believed that ghosts came back to the earthly world on Halloween. People thought that they would encounter ghosts if they left their homes. Let's see here. To avoid being recognized, people would wear masks after dark so that the ghosts would mistake them for fellow spirits. In addition, these early English people would place bowls of food outside their homes to appease the ghosts and prevent them from attempting to enter or cause harm to their homes, a tradition obviously taken from the ancient Celtic pagans. As European came to America, they brought their varied Halloween traditions with them. Celebration of Halloween in colonial times was much more common in Maryland and the southern colonies, primarily because Celtic immigrants settled more in those regions than in the north. As the beliefs and customs of different European ethnic groups meshed together, a distinctly American version of Halloween began to emerge. The first celebrations included play parties, public events held to celebrate the harvest, where neighbors would share stories of the dead, tell each other's fortunes, dance, and sing. Colonial Halloween festivities also featured the telling of ghost stories and mischief making of all kinds. By the middle of the 19th century, annual autumn festivities were common, but Halloween was not yet celebrated everywhere in the country. In the second half of the 19th century, America entered an age of mysticism, what was more often termed spiritualism. Metaphysical groups and clubs began to spring up throughout the Golden Age and the wealthier set of Americans. At the same time, America was welcoming a new group of immigrants, especially the millions of Irish fleeing Ireland's potato famine of 1846. This new cultural influence brought with it a melding of Irish and English traditions, and a new American's culture was born. People began to dress up in costumes and go house to house asking for food or money, a practice that eventually came today's trick or treat tradition. Young women believed that on Halloween they could divine the name or appearance of their future husband by doing tricks with yarn, apple parings, or mirrors. In the late 1800s, there was a move in America to mold Halloween into a holiday more about community and neighborly get togethers than about ghost pranks and witchcraft. At the turn of the century, Halloween parties for both children and adults became the most common way to celebrate the day. Parties focused on games, foods of the season, and festive costumes. Parents were encouraged by newspapers and community leaders to take anything frightening or grotesque out of Halloween celebrations because of their efforts. Halloween lost most of its superstitious and religious overtones by the beginning of the 20th century. By the 1920s and 30s, Halloween had become a secular but community centered holiday with parades and town wide parties as the featured entertainment. Despite the best efforts of many schools and communities, vandalism began to plague Halloween celebrations in many communities during this time. By the 1950s, town leaders had successfully limited vandalism, and Halloween had evolved into a holiday directed mainly at the young. Due to the high numbers of young children during the 50s baby boom, parties moved from town civic centers into the classroom or home, where they could be more easily accommodated. Between 1920 and 1950, the centuries old practice of trick or treating was also revived. Trick or treating was a relatively inexpensive way for an entire community to share the Halloween celebration. In theory, families could also prevent tricks being played on them by providing the neighborhood children with small treats. A new American tradition was born, and it has continued to grow. By the 1990s, Americans have made Halloween one of the largest commercial holidays, spending an estimated 6.9 billion annually on Halloween costumes, accessories, decorations, and pumpkins. Okay, spending an estimated 6.9 billion. Okay, let me see here. Let me see what we got here. How much is America spending on uh Halloween in 2023? How much did Americans 12.2 billion was spent for on Halloween. Halloween spending statistics. Okay, let me see here. Yeah, it is 12.2 billion was spent. Okay, we can spend that on shaking the ass and dressing up in costumes. And there's a lot of individuals who are going to create great orgy and other things for the Sam Hain. And then you will have the money being spent on the candies and the costumes and the makeups and the cosplay and all of this other shit. And now we have a generation where the children have evolved into the children haven't evolved. They've stayed mentally and psychologically a child, but their height grew, and they gained some weight. They turned into the great Homer Simpson, drinking the Duff beer. So let me see here. Do y'all want to hear some more? I guess we should keep on reading. Okay. Let me see here. How many days do we have? Okay. Let me see. Okay, let me see what we got. So I guess I'll just keep on reading from here then, so y'all could get the juice of what's going on. If you got any questions, go ahead and pose them. If you got anything to send me on email, send it to the god720 at gmail. Somebody said they wanted to send me a beat. Just wanted to put that out there real quick. So, Samhain traditions to pagans the world over. November 1st still marks the beginning of the new year. To witches and pagans, Samhain is the festival of the dead, and for many, it is the most important Sabbath or holiday of the year. Although the Feast of the Dead forms a major part of most pagan celebrations on this eve and at Samhain, voluntary Communications are expected and hoped for. The departed are never harassed, and their presence is never commanded. The spirits of the dead are, however, ritually invited to attend the Sabbath and to be present within the circle. The colors orange and black. The colors of Sabbath are black and orange, black to represent the time of darkness after the death of the god, who is represented by fire and the sun. During an earlier Sabbath known as Lognasad, which is the one on my birthday, and the waning of light during the day. Orange represents the waiting of the dawn during Yule, okay, which is also Yule is also Yale, okay, which is December 21st to January 1st when the god is reborn. Now, the jack-o'-lanterns. There is some debate about the origination of jack-o'-lanterns. One line suggests this custom originated from the lighting of candles for the dead to follow as they walked to the earth. These candles were placed in hollowed out gourds and put on the ground to light the way, which was done in my neighborhood when I was a kid. They used to have these wax bags that would put a candle in. They would put sand at the bottom of the bag and then put the candle in the bag and line them all up on the sidewalk, right? Others suggest the practice originates from a Christianized Irish myth about a man named Stingy Jack. Stingy Jack and the devil enter a pub to have a drink. Jack convinces the devil to turn himself into a coin to pay for the drinks. But instead of using the coin, Jack slipped it into his pocket and next to a silver cross. The cross prevented the devil from changing back into his original form. But Jack eventually freed the devil under the condition that he would not bother Jack for 1 year. And if Jack should die during that year, the devil would not claim his soul. And the devil agreed to these terms. Jack again tricked the devil. This time, the devil climbed into a tree to pick a piece of fruit. While he was up in the tree, Jack carved a sign of the cross into the tree's bark so that the devil could not come down. Once again, Jack struck a bargain with the devil. He would free the devil from the tree if he promised not to bother Jack for 10 more years. And if Jack died during those years, the devil would not claim his soul. And the devil again agreed to these terms. Not long after this, Jack did indeed die. But because of his trickery, God would not allow him into heaven. And in keeping his word not to take his soul, the devil also would not allow Jack into hell. Instead, the devil sent Jack out into the darkness of the world between worlds with nothing but a burning piece of coal. Jack placed the coal into a carved out turnip and has been roaming the earth ever since. The Irish began to refer to Jack's ghostly figure as Jack of the Lantern, and then simply as Jack-o'-lantern. The Irish and Scottish people began making lanterns by carving scary faces into turnips or potatoes and placing them into windows or near doors to frighten away the wandering evil spirits. In England, large beets were used. Immigrants from these countries brought the tradition to America, where they found the pumpkin, a fruit native to America that made the perfect jack-o'-lanterns. Okay. Uh, Trick or treats. Treats also originated from an old custom of leaving cookies and other foods out for those relatives to enjoy, as they shared this one night of feasting. The portion of trick or treat was an invention of the Christians. The tricks were supposedly caused by the dead who didn't receive a treat of food left for them when they arrived at your door. So let's talk about that for a minute, because what you see with the trick or treat is also the same system that you see with singing Christmas carols at your front door, and which this is an original form of extortion. Which, and if you have to extort for food, you're doing it in this way. And also, this was the reasoning for the traveling musicians, like we were talking about earlier, the musicians of the medieval times. And if you played bad music, they tied your ass up to the corner of the wall and you got abused by the people. So what we're talking about here is extortion. Extortion is only going to come from the sophistication of the homeless. The homeless and the needy are going to attempt a form of non-violent extortion. And non-violent extortion is by using the children, or we're going to play loud music in front of your house and things of that nature until you give us something to go to get away and to move on to the next house. And you give us a morsel of bread, you give us some, some water for the cup, you give us some coin, and we will leave. And if we gonna get detailed on it, this is the engine, this is the mechanism, and the highest level of desire when it comes to the psychological warfare that humans are built with, is to produce a form of nonviolent extortion, or even a violent extortion. Okay. So another form of nonviolent extortion is what you're going to see is how the mafia came up. The mafia came up by nonviolent extortion at first. They go to your place, well, sometimes it was violent. They'll go to your place, or they'll send some cronies to your place at night, destroy your place, break the windows, blah blah blah, and then one of the big mafioso dudes comes in the next day and says, "Hey, we'll protect you, but in order to protect you from the streets, and you'll never have to worry about this situation again, you're gonna have to break some bread." And extortion is still going on today. A lot of people are using it in the areas of what they call sextortion. They'll go ahead and hack your phone, get all your pervert pictures, and say, "Hey, I'm going to show your parents, I'm going to show your family and everybody that's your friends on Facebook that you over here got your butt out on these fucking pictures, unless you pay me." They've been doing it to a lot of OnlyFans girls and all of that other shit. But extortion is one of the root elements of pressurizing money and pressurizing the growth system to a business or to a form of awareness to protect yourself. You understand? So, yeah, I definitely wanted to slip that in there because trick and treating is basically teaching your children to extort, and that is okay. That is a good thing to do. They will have to understand the operations of manipulation in order to earn in this American world, unless you want them flipping patties forever. Okay, let me see here. Okay, let me see what we have here. Okay, let's talk about some other world shit real quick. In ancient Irish calendar, the celebration of November 1st is called Samhain, and the night of November 1st to November 2nd is rich in legends that feed on an old reserve of myth that even today is particularly vital in certain regions. This is the time when the beings of the other world have temporary permission to visit the living, and is also the moment when the living gain furtive access to the other world. First and foremost, Samhain and Halloween pose the existence of an other world, which should not be confused with the world of the dead or with hell or heaven, and which that is termed as the underworld. Okay, the Samhain other world, the source of meaning for all the Samhain rites and myths, is inhabited by fairies and revenants. Okay, as with the 7 other major dates of the calendar, Samhain and Halloween make it possible to establish a dialogue with the other world by authorizing the emergence of a more or less dangerous magic linked to a reversal of the seasons and a kind of fracture in time. So, in order to be in the kind of the fracture in time, is you bring those beings from the other world into this world and embed them, okay, into things where they can stay alive at, which would be like your Lucky Charms on, the leprechaun that's on Lucky Charms, or just the leprechaun in essence. The leprechaun is an entity of the other world. Okay. Another example would be Smurfs. Those are entities of another world, of the other world. Um, you know, um, the tiger on the Frosted Flakes, that would be an entity of the other world. The other beings on Mario and inside the Nintendo game, besides Mario and Luigi and the princess. You know, the little mushroom hat dude, I forgot what his name is. Toad, his name is Toad for toadstool. That's frog shit is what a toadstool is, and there could be a very potent ingredient inside of certain ritualistic practices and witchcraft. You dig what I'm saying? Because frogs are highly favored. But anyways, Toadstool is an entity of the other world. Sonic the Hedgehog would be an entity of the other world. Bugs Bunny and all cartoons are entities of the other world. Okay, which is a very real place. Okay, trolls and things of that nature, and we use them on products. Okay, and the spirit for animals are also loaded inside the other world. So when we name a shoe a puma, or when you name a car a Porsche, which is a horse, we're using the alliance and the access to the other world. Well, actually, that's done with a permission, and that permission means you are um you represent life, and keeping life vibrant, as you will also keep the dead vibrant. Okay. And you will also keep the entities in between vibrant. It is all about the seeking of life and the life force, which makes damn near everything vampiric when you really understand it. And, but that's what we're all doing here, on this planet. If we look at the animal realm, animals eat other animals, which in essence is a vampiric status. It's a vampiric, humans look to be worshipped by other humans, which is also vampiric. um, Humans seek other humans to feed energy off of, which is also vampiric. But this is just a rule of the land. If somebody is feeling down and out and you give them a hug, and now they feel better from the hug, the person that was feeling down and out can also be considered a vampire, and an energy quote unquote vampire. In order to get back into a happy status, they had to get that energy transfer from another person that was in the sympathetic mode to give it. Do you understand that? So sympathy is definitely an open space of the giving of energy. Okay, and sympathy is the doorknob for the allowance of energy transfer. Okay, and that's on all levels, whether we're talking about begging, whether we're talking about extortion, whether we're talking about protecting, whether we're talking about manipulating and things of all of that shit. And it's kind of funny. I boldly speak about some of this shit in the public light, and a lot of people, the native mind is so by majority rule inferior in their thinking and understanding of what studies are, that they'll think automatically that because I know these sciences, I'm going to apply them to you. When 9 times out of 10, the majority of motherfuckers ain't even worth the energy line to apply that shit to, nigga. So please understand, you are not no victim that I seek. You know what I'm saying? I don't move like that. These subjects are subjects that are definitely studied uh on a um that are studied on a scholastic level. They're studied up in Harvard. They're studied up in Yale. As a matter of fact, these subjects were studied and conquered, mastered in the 1600s before they even built a slave ship for a nigga. They already understood all of this math. So that's what makes me, scratch my head sometimes and looking at niggas is like, B, where the fuck are we at? And these motherfuckers then conquered so much understanding when it comes down to socialism, psychology, and whatnot, and also biology and all the other connecting subjects. And we're so far behind, but we calling a motherfucker a caveman, nigga. Have you lost your mind, nigga? You better sit your ass down, shut the fuck up, and fucking study, nigga, and listen, because you don't know what the fuck you talking about. You wearing they Reeboks and shit, but you over here talking the big shit, nigga. Please. Okay, so let me see here. Um, should I read this? No, I don't think I'm gonna read this. But there are saints that are connected to uh Halloween, the Saint Hubertus, you know. Should I read this? The god with the stag's head appears in Karnak, disguised as Saint Cornely, who is always depicted with a horned bull. During the pardon of Saint Cornely in the month of September, a procession takes place during which horned animals are brought before the priest so they can receive his blessing. These niggas bless the animals being. Do you understand? Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I got some things here. But yeah, that's it for the Halloween situation. All Hallows Eve. You know, we do have Krampus that we'll probably visit again, as I did that show last year about Krampus with Crumb TV, and I did one with brother Professor Shock, which it came out beautiful, you know, but we didn't go any further than the whole Krampus discussion. A lot of people get very confused at how I just don't apply any hatred towards this information. And I think it's very childish to, you know, and it also basically shows your complex of jealousy in order to be angry at what Caucasians have done on this planet. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know, so just there's no need of being angry because, and that's one reason why I just don't kick it around too many, you know, of the black male population, because they like to get angry about shit they ain't gonna do shit about. It's like, nigga, if you gonna apply some anger to something, nigga, do something about the shit. If you ain't gonna do shit about it, then shut the fuck up. You know, and be getting angry about nothing shit about, you know, the shit you can't do nothing about. You want to try to get somebody to believe in your way of you know, being negligent and being combative when it comes to what our holidays are and our celebrations and whatnot. Like I said on my video yesterday, man, just let people be happy, bro. If they want to praise the grass, let them do that, bro. Don't tell them about the pesticides on the grass. Let them do that. Keep people in their space of dumbass. You know, that is the rule of the land. You think how you think and let them think how they think. You know what I'm saying? Take your children out, let them trick or treat, let them dress up like whoever they want to be. You know, if they want to be a Spider-Man, let them be Spider-Man. Don't try to force a motherfucker to be Malcolm X, B. Don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Um, that's all I got to say about that. You know, I'm never gonna talk bad about Halloween or Christmas. And one reason is because when I wrote this material and being open to that whole space of the other world, man, and, you know, you get detailed intellect, you get a lot of answers to a lot of questions, and, you know, there's a lot of mysterious elements, you know, that will definitely assist you along your path in life when you're open to that space of the other world. You know, and that's also the same thing with the underworld, you know, as we will all be dead one day. You know, there's no need to really fear the dead, you know. And then once you really understand what the dead is, um, it opens up into a different space of respect, you know. You have dead that are, you know, that obviously it was their time. It was a divine timing for them to die, but all of the dead definitely want to, you know, see the air, you know, I mean, see a bird fly again, you know what I'm saying? Um, you know, they want to smell a flower, they want to hear a song, they want to, you know, enjoy that space. And the only way they can really do it is through the human eyes. So you have to allow the dead to speak through you, you know, and that goes into a whole nother space of, you know, due diligence in order to earn that type of right. And that due diligence, the first word of that due diligence is called history. because you're going to find yourself within history, and when you find yourself, you have done exactly that. And, that self lived in a different time period and they want to see what's going on in yours, as they will definitely give you the intellect of theirs, and it's only going to be temporary that they'll visit. They'll go ahead and go back to where they belong, which is the underworld, most definitely, so it's not a system where you got to have pots of, burning decomposing fruits and shit, and all of that shit is bullshit. you know if you don't have the mental capacity to do it just by mental capacity, because of your due diligence and your respect line and how you hold yourself and how you treat other people, then you don't need to be tampering around with those spaces at all, because now you're forcing it. And if you force it wrong and you force it in a space where you weren't invited, you will get attacked, So it's very dangerous. And then there has to be, a system of metaphysics aligned for that to occur. And that's why I said you have to go through history. So you go through history and for instance, you could put in your birth date and go to that wiki page. And everything that is on that wiki page for your birth date is your system. That is your underworld system right there. And when you go into holidays and observances, that will be your other world system, which will be the saints and whatnot that are correlated with the feast day, which is also your birthday. So all events that occurred on your birthday is basically all underworld mathematics that you can use as weaponry for defense or offense in this existence right now. Okay. Which is already loaded with power from their time periods and the events that occurred. Okay. So that means, you go to your birthday, you'll see wars were taking place on that day. You'll see very important agreements were signed in between different nations. A mass amount of other people were born on that same day, and you'll be able to look at what their professions are. And then a mass amount of people also died on that same day, and you'll be able to look at their professions and their names and whatnot. And you can utilize all that information for the sustenance of who you are right now. And especially if you're going to be designing a product or some type of store, or you need to name a restaurant, a unique thing, you do that. You reach in that area because you want it to be a secrecy amongst the customer. You dig what I'm saying? Um, Let me see here. Nas's song. I got a question here. We're gonna go ahead and answer. Nas's song "Live Now" casually speaks to that time when death comes to collect its fee. What did you do prior to death to live on through the minds of others? Well, it's kind of crazy you asked me that, because I'm in a lot of people's brains. I don't know how they think of me, how they view me, or what's going on, but I'm psychologically in a lot of people's minds. And people have called me up talking about I was in their dreams and shit and all types of shit. I don't know, I can say one thing and people hear it in a whole nother way and then come back to me and say, but you said this. And I was like, no, nigga, I didn't say no shit like that. It don't sound like me. I know it sounds like me. So, people want to perceive you. The people can only perceive you based upon how their perception has been designed, based upon their experiences, based upon what they have collected from society to use as a part of their character, how their character was designed, and also book intelligence, if there is any there. You see what I'm saying? So people perceive me in a lot of different lights, different races. I don't know how a motherfucker looks at me. You know what I'm saying? I'll never know, because you will never know what's going on in the mind of the person sitting right next to you. you know um Yeah. What did you do to prior to death to live on through the minds of others? That is also a question of immortality. A lot of people don't understand how the science of immortality really works. So paintings makes as long the bottom line of immortality is that if your name is still in existence, you are still in the status of immortal. Okay. So when I say Nero from Rome, when I say Hatshepsut from ancient Egypt, if I say, Thoth from ancient Egypt, if I say, Quetzalcoatl from Mayan, these are entities that are still alive because you know who they are by definition of what occurred when they were in physical flesh. You understand? So any form of statue is also a form of immortality. A name being a song. Like we have a song called, Susanna. Now Susanna has been immortalized with the rhythmic and the explanation of the character inside the lyrics being inside that song has now embedded a character that's going to be immortal until it plays out and is no longer available. So we know who Jack Johnson is. Jack Johnson has actually been rebirthed because after his death, which I think he died in the 1950s or something, the only people that really knew about a Jack Johnson were boxing legends or real hardcore African American historians, But now, with the access of the internet, many beings from the other world and the underworld have been brought into a space of rebirth and access to our dimension through the ether. Okay. So when we speak about, Jack Johnson, he's definitely immortalized. Frederick Douglass is immortalized so far as we know right now. We do not know how long this immortality will last. That is the question. Because just like the Egyptian pyramids, as long as wind keeps blowing, one day the wind will blow all the sand away from the pyramids and they will no longer be there. Now that may take 100,000 years to do. That may take 1,000,000 years to do. It may take 10 million years for that to occur. But in essence, it will occur. You know, who knows how long? Okay. So, as of right now, you know, a lot of beings will be immortal through the generations. So far, Nipsey Hussle is an immortal. Tupac Shakur is an immortal. There's sports legends that are immortal. I forgot, dude, the refrigerator. I forgot his real name, but there's, but then again, they could be immortalized only specifically in that realm. With people who know who and what they are to keep them alive. Do you understand? So, that's definitely what immortality is. As long as your name is known, if you have statues made in your respect, if you have paintings done in your respect, if you have a street named after you, which there's a ton of that throughout the entirety of America, of the names of streets and the names of highways, or we don't know who those individuals were, but history does. And with that, they still are alive and life force is being embedded in them. So there could be, the Dan Ryan highway. I don't know who Dan Ryan is. He was a person, but on that highway, you got people going to deliver babies. You got deaths occurring through accidents. You have people, pumping up the energy to go to a basketball game or go to, a hospital who is named after somebody else. You have a hospital named St. James Hospital, and that hospital has both life and death going on inside of it. And there is a balance of existence and makes the entity and the word alive. Okay. There's principalities that are correlated with that name or word. And those principalities are built there through the events that occurred during that person's life. Okay, so the principality of Jack Johnson is going to be, violent conqueror. As during the time period he was a boxer. He destroyed many, white opponents in a time period where racism was at its height, and black males or black females are being found hung everywhere. Not only that, he conquered white girls. So he's definitely in the space of conqueror, and he had a gold grill. And he invented the wrench, and that's the reason why they call it the monkey wrench, is a racial slur, based on Jack Johnson. You see what I'm saying? So, and then he has the name Jack, and then Johnson is the son of John, and then there's a whole nother medieval level of science going on with his name alone. So, you know, that's what his principality is. You know what I'm saying? So, if I was to make a new, if I say I'm working on um let me think of something, let's say I was working on sports equipment, and I'm bringing in, baseball bats or something. I'll make a certain type of series called the Jack Johnson baseball bats. You know what I'm saying? Now, why would I put that on a baseball bat? Because baseball bats did what he did in the space of conquering, that is to hit the ball. And Jack Johnson hit people's faces. But the hardcore principality here is to hit, you know. Jack Johnson also drove cars. So for me to put out a series of Cadillac called the Jack Johnson or something, and with a specific type of engine that was a racing engine, would definitely fall within that space. Jack Johnson supposedly died off of not having a brake pad on his vehicle, which they stated that somebody disabled his brake line on his car. So, in order to bring rebirth or to bring closure to that situation, you can create a series of brake pads called the Jack Johnsons. You see what I'm saying? So there's ways you can transfer the energy throughout time when it comes to what the principality of immortality is. And that's what Europeans have done all across this country. You see it on the names of schools, you see it on the streets you drive on, you see it on the cars you drive. That is the magic system. And until we thoroughly comprehend this magic system, and we have to operate in this magic system in the space of silence. We can't be out here. This is information that is high level occultic. You can't be in the public light explaining this type of stuff, because it will immediately incite jealousy out of those who can't comprehend. It will definitely incite anger, and need to attack, because they don't know what you're doing, and they want to be considered the big dog. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of women will definitely feel out of place or removed. And in this area of the other world, the underworld, you know the once women witness the formula that is being used, they would definitely be able to give very wise information in these areas. Okay, when we're talking about otherworld, underworld, immortality, and the transferring of energy, and what cartoons do, and things of these natures. So could you please tie Halloween in with our current state of society in America? I don't really think that. I mean, the Wolf of Wall Street is werewolves, and we definitely see, Donald Trump brought some wolf packing up there at the rally, which wasn't structured correctly. But you know, we definitely see that. We definitely see the witch on the Kamala side, and we don't know what that is, and that's why it's going to be classified as a witch. We don't know what she's capable of. We don't know who's behind her calling the shots. We don't know what's coming, but what we do know is what men do know is the experiences that we have had over the past, maybe 8 to 10 years, based on females wanting to divide themselves from us, wanting to attack us, wanting to do all of this other crazy shit. And then they expect us to be so bitch made and they expect us to be so fucking retarded that they're going to ask us to support them in the vote and to vote for Kamala when you women have utterly destroyed many households. You have destroyed male self-esteem on a large scale. You have destroyed finances and growth that could have been done for the individual family, for the nuclear family. You have destroyed, the elements of entrepreneurism that could have evolved, out of men whose whole system was destroyed by the woes of a relationship. And then you expect us to just follow you into some boat. No, it's like, look at what you've done. And nobody's gonna do that with that type of track record. And you created that track record, and you did it collectively, and you did it in a militarized format. You know what I'm saying? And you decided that the one that you're supposed to be surviving with was the one you should be attacking. And there's complaints from the other side. I give credence to that, but I don't know your complaints, and I don't fall into that category, so I can't, I don't know what to tell you. So this is a good question. Why are so many sport teams named Devil, Blue Devil, Red Devil? Because the devil plays games. You understand? And that's why I don't play games. The devil plays games. Like I just read to you about that story with Jack and the devil for the Jack-o'-lantern. And what you have to understand, one thing that you didn't see in that little story there was that there was a contract written with specific terms and conditions in between Jack and the devil. And that is basically how all of our contracts are set up. All of the contracts that you utilize for applying to a job, or, entering into a school bill, to, a university, or any other form of contract, a lease agreement for a home. All of these contracts come out of um signing contracts with the devil. It comes out of the Sabbath witchcraft system. You all live witchcraft and you don't even know it, but that is definitely what it is. When you do hardcore research on what devils are and what's going on with that whole system, they're all labeled as governors and senators and lawyers and district attorneys and the magistrate. And, this group over here is the Senate or the House of Representatives. It's all set up like that inside the system. It's a very detailed system, and it tells you directly, what each devil's responsibility is, how they are to, and a lot of these, and the majority of them do not express or have a responsibility or a duty to carry out of an attack on humans. The majority of devils in this system that I'm referring to, and what I'm referring to, is the 30,000 devils that Solomon released, or that was released out of Solomon's devil. I mean, Solomon's bottle. I can't say that he released them, but were released out of the Solomon's bottle. These 30,000 devils, and now there's many more. They all have certain responsibilities. So some of them have a responsibility of making best friends in between humans. Best friends is an element that comes from the devil. Or one of the devils. There's many of them. What's another one? Expressing love or teaching love is another thing. You know, moving a person from one state to another state, is also a responsibility of the devil. You know what I'm saying? And then, like I said, there's tons of them. So there's tons of them. They're in your words. They're in your English words. They're named on the foods that you eat. Um, Hokey Pokey is the name of a devil. You know what I'm saying? Hanky Panky, all of that type of shit. Those type of words are all devil words. Are the names of devils. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. You definitely got to watch out for shit like that. I mean, it's a part of this existence, and a lot of people trip out at what the system is. Everybody wants to say everybody worshiping the devil shit, so I might as well confront this right now. This is how it works. You were in the Garden of Eden. You were kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Therefore, you were neglected. Okay. Now, supposedly you ate from the tree of knowledge, before you were kicked out of the garden. Okay. But in this land of neglect, you were not taught how to use the knowledge that you gained. Okay. To have knowledge is one thing, to use it is another thing. Okay. The using and observation of knowledge is called wisdom. Okay. The the manipulation, modification, and the advancement of that knowledge and wisdom is called understanding. Okay. So when you're able to modify what you have produced and then to expand its line is called understanding. Okay. So now that you have knowledge and you've been kicked out of the garden, and guess who else was on the planet when you were kicked out of the garden? The devil and his whole fleets, Lucifer and his whole fleet, because you have to understand that Lucifer is the name of the angel that when he was in the status of heaven. Okay. Saturn, which is where the word Satan comes from, is the quote unquote dark sided influence that stands over humans astrologically. Okay. When we talk about planetary influence, we talk about Saturn, and this is a dark sided nature that influences our operations. Okay. And then you have the devil, which is the invisible entity that humans have drawn up to use as a scapegoat for their evil actions that they know is against how they're morally designed. Okay. And they can feel it by that spice that is put on the nerves when you do the evil deed. Okay. So what we have to understand here is, now when I say invisible, that does not mean that it is not there. Okay. We have caricaturized this invisible energy as a red being with a tail, okay, which represents its connection to the freedom of the animal world. And the freedom of the animal world is immoral activity. Hence, they can shit anywhere, they can fuck on anything, they can stick their nose up any crotch and all of that. And socially, humans are not allowed to conduct themselves in said format. Okay. It is quote unquote immorally wrong. And then connects us to, you know, the animal realm, which doesn't have a medical intelligence. They don't have an architecture intelligence. They don't have a mathematical intelligence, and nor do they worship a god. So, because the animal realm doesn't worship a god, by default, they are in this space of, to be controlled. That's why man must till the ground and take care of the farm, is because you have to control the devils. And this is including the whole parasitic situation of the uterus is alien. You have to control this realm because they don't have a moral understanding, which divides us into a space of humanism. And that's why humanism needs to be enforced. Okay. And that's why, courting and romancing is important. That is humanism. You know, favoritism towards a woman's breast, that is humanism. Mathematics, architecture, banking is monetary, and all the sciences of money, stock market, to play sports. All of these things are things that enforce our status as a human. Okay. But within that, these things that I just mentioned, sports, mathematics, architecture, medical sciences, biological sciences, cosmology, planetary sciences, all the myriad of sciences were taught to us by these entities that came from the so-called heavens, which are the devils and his whole squad. Okay. Um, and they're the ones that taught us weaponry. They're the ones that taught us, metallurgy. They're the ones that taught us all the manti sciences, necromancy, so on and so forth. They also taught us makeup and beautification. They also taught us, and that is why they consider the, entertainment as the space of the fallen angels, because what happens here is that the fallen angels actually have to teach humans how to mate. Okay. Which that is part of the reason why they were kicked out of the garden. Okay. And especially when we want to talk about what happened with Adam and Lilith before Eve was brought along. Even though Lilith and Eve did not listen to the law of God or her man, they both submitted to the dark one. Okay, so yeah, when they taught us all those mathematics. So when it comes to the development of a vehicle, or how to extract gasoline out of oil, or how to turn oil into plastics, or technology and our advancements in it, or how to carve the crystal, and how to use fire appropriately, how to cook food on fire, all of those things were taught to us by these quote unquote devil entities that came down here. Not only were they expelled out of heaven, but they also came down here to mate with the beautiful women as they did. Okay. So when you're talking about all these companies are worshiping the devil, blah blah blah, they're worshiping the ones that gave them the rules and regulations for survival. Okay. And that's just it. You know. That's just the bottom line to it. Because we were kicked out of the garden and neglected by the God, is what it says. You know, um, America has always been medieval. But what America has disguised themselves as, or has evolved into, is what you want to call a neo medievalism. The majority of people, when we talk about the natives, the blacks, the Caribbeans, the Native American Indians, they know nothing about what a medieval is. Therefore, they don't know what they're in. They don't know what they're involved in. They don't know who they're dealing with. They don't know the extremes of who they're dealing with. They don't know, I mean, you have to understand the corporations. Sorry about that. The corporations are that we purchase from every single day and we live off of every single day are built and designed off of Greek philosophy. Um, and also a lot of litigation from ancient Egypt as well. And do we study these areas? No, you don't know Greek philosophers like that. The majority of people can only name maybe two, when they had hundreds of philosophers, literally. And we don't give any credence to that, and therefore we fail, because we want to turn up this nose like, we're so greater than you because of melanin or whatever the fuck, and you've done this and you did that to my people and all this other bullshit. We have a lot of hatred and very immature and elementary mind frames that we use as excuses. We use this as some form of excuse to not understand what advancements they have done over time, even before their exploration across the world. And nor do we understand where they're at with science today, because we're more focused on Diddy, who got locked up, or what the fuck is going on with the rap game, or what about the black killer who just got out of jail for 20, 30 years. We think that stupid shit is fucking important, and it's not. That's why I go so hard, and you'll only hear me going hard about it, because niggas will attack niggas on that shit when the whole Negro kingdom needs to be swiped, because you've done nothing. You understand? And your awards mean nothing. It's all nothing. Until there is an internalized reliance system, you have nothing. You've done nothing. I don't give a fuck what you're talking about. And I just think in a larger space, there is a responsibility there, and I don't feel like being the laughing stock of the fucking planet. Maybe other people cool with that, or what really happens is that the Negro mind frame blinds themselves to other people laughing at them, and they think other people are laughing with them. No, they're laughing at you. You see what I'm saying? And they're laughing at you because of your lack of produce, and we can see that in the fact that they don't want their daughters marrying you. So because they don't want their daughters marrying you, there is a disgust, there is a despise that lies there, and we need to act upon that, and we need to check ourselves and our lack of development, and we need to see, what those spaces, how we can fulfill those spaces and no longer have these voids of, we don't even have our own woman with us. So in reality, you can't even call yourself a race. You don't even have your own woman with you. There's not a being on this planet. There's a million ants and they all fucking on one queen, but they got their woman with them. You understand? Okay, the black race don't got their woman with them, so we can't even really be confirmed as a race if you really want to get super technical. There's more of our women. The number one killer for black people right now is the abortion clinic. So, and that's both our faults. That is both the male and female fault. I'm not going to place that blame supremely on the woman. You've lost your goddamn mind. It takes two to tango. And this is just what it is, man. And until we respond to that, I don't want to hear nothing about who gangster and OG this and that. That shit don't play no cards with me, nigga. Like what, nigga? Until you do David and Goliath, until you take on the Godzilla on this planet, and in any form that you do it in, all forms are needed. You know, I don't see it, bro. I don't hear your claim. I can't respect that. And it's not like I'm gonna spit in your face or something because I don't respect it. It's just, nigga, there's bigger fish to fry, homie. Y'all niggas be worried about, sliding on the ops, nigga. There are way bigger fish to fry out here besides some motherfucking ops. Um, Now that is not a debate. The brother states that some say that America never really had medieval times. Is this denial? No, that's a dumbass, is what you're talking about right there, because they definitely didn't do any research about what happened in the 1700s or from the 1600s to the 1700s. Extremely wild in America. Okay. uh, During that whole time period, Native American Indians getting cleaned up, getting eradicated, and then 1600s. Then the 1700s to the 1800s, wild, more wars, Trail of Tears, all of this type of shit going on, and then from the 1800s and 1900s, extremely gangster, coast to coast in America. Black, white, Native American, and Asians was all here doing extreme gangster shit. There was brothels every fucking where all across the country. There was, what people don't know is that the Victorian era and the Wild Wild West era were both going on at the same time, just in different locations of the country. So you had the salons, you had the prostitutes, you had the upstairs girls, you had all types of shit going on. You had gangs going on at the same time. All of that shit was going on in America during the 1800s and 1900s. Okay, it was extremely gangster in this country, and there wasn't. You had police, but they were nowhere near on the scale of what we have now. But that's also going to be a reliance upon the technology that was provided during the time period. Which in reality we can't really say what type of what technology they had because of the evidence. But we look at things like the World Fair, you know what I'm saying, or we look at things like the telegram and all of that other shit that was going on during those times. So we truly don't know what level of technology that they were using. There were vehicles that were operating off of water. I think at the time there was also electric vehicles at that time, in the late 1800s. So we can't really say what the fuck was going on. But I will tell you from the books that I've read that gives exclusive details on the time period. For instance, if you want to know the truth, you can get on eBay right now and you can buy medical journals. You can buy, the hospital logs and logs of jails from the 1800s, and they're available on eBay to purchase right now, and they only be like $5-10. Heavy books giving all the game of what the fuck was going on. Now, there's small details, you know what I'm saying, you know like a small detail of modern society that you may not see 100 years from now is, the people like to dip their Oreos in milk. There's certain shit like that, you know what I'm saying, that you'll never thoroughly get your hands on, because that type of stuff wasn't written down, because it wasn't deemed as important. It was just deemed as, a social operation that they had at that time. You know what I'm saying? So it was going down 1800s and 1900s. If somebody says that it wasn't medieval, as a matter of fact, let me prove to you how medieval it was. You can look up right now, type in, Philadelphia or Chicago or Washington, D.C. or New York newspapers of the early 1900s, late 1800s, where they're showing you the whipping post that was in the middle of the city for men that beat on their wives. And then they would also show you, the sheriff, the wife could call the sheriff to her home And if she had any bruises on her or whatever, the sheriff would take him to the middle of the market where there was the whipping post, tie him to the whipping post, and give him 20, 30 lashes. This was in America. Okay. This is in, and also in these same homes, you would usually find a branks on a chain that was next to the fireplace. And if the man called the sheriff and said, my wife is being a scold, she's being a termagant, how is that word pronounced? Uh, a termagant or some shit they called it. They also called it a virago, like a Virgo, but with you put an A in between the R and the G. So they called it a virago. They say, yeah, my wife is acting a virago. Could you please come settle it? The local sheriff. The sheriff will come to your house and chain your wife up by the neck in a collar that has a chain attached to the fireplace right there. And she would have to stay there for hours until the husband of the house called her up, or if there was a certain time allotted, that she had to stay in that device, that the sheriff would show back up at the house and unlock her. You know what I'm saying? They also gave polls. I saw several news articles in different cities where they were asking like, oh yeah, should you spank your wife? And all the husbands were like, yeah, the wife deserves a spanking. God damn it, have you lost your fucking mind? That's right. You spank the hide. She has done the ill deed. She has been dancing at the Sabbath in the late night hour with the dark one and the goat. Okay. And so she needs a spanking. Do you understand? And the tenderness of the muscle on the gluteus maximus demands that attention. Do you understand? So the flabber will get spanked appropriately, and the woman will enjoy. Do you understand? She will enjoy the dominance being expressed upon her. Do you understand? That's how it works. And that is America. That's America. That's true shit. Go look it up, my nigga. You ain't got to listen to me. American history is wild, especially in the 1800s and 1900s. Um, you know, for real. So yeah, it's about that time. I'm about to go ahead and skedaddle. Somebody done already um requested a song, so we're gonna play that. If there's somebody else who wants to request another song, go ahead and put it up now. You're gonna put down the donations. The brother Gene Cole is at the top of the list. Okay, if anybody gonna go ahead and wanna put one up, wanna see him on the friendly competition. Um, brother said he's been looking for a paddle for this one here. Yeah, I saw a couple on. There's a couple on YouTube. There's a black couple too, and the woman, suggested that her husband hit her with the paddle if she ever act bad. Then go look it up. It's a black couple on. Yes, the paddle is needed. And the woman wants to get fat in the rear anyways. So we might as well make it natural, which is, designated by the Lord. You understand? And we will plump the arse with a great paddle for your dirty dealings, because we know you have the mischief in you, and play Code Red. So two of them, yeah. Code Red was a heavy song, bro. I had to do it, bro. It's complaints. That song and the song Third Eye Open are complaint songs about the whole rap game. But it is a reminder of what's going to happen. So I'll definitely play those two tracks, you know. So I definitely appreciate y'all coming through here today, man, and kicking it with the guys 720 on the explanation on the evolution of Halloween. I know we got into a couple of other things, but so what? You know how we kick it. And then we'll be here tomorrow, most definitely Wednesday. Like I said, man, put down the donations. I definitely need it. Purchase the books. I need it now. That's for the Kicked Out of Heaven, Volume 1, 2, and 3, Black Man's Bible, Real Nigga Etiquette, and the Ethereal Law for $100. And you get the Encyclopedia on the Alchemy of Women for free. You get Volume 1 and Volume 2 for free. So this is a deal that's saving you about $300 to $400 dealing with my material. Because the way they have been evaluated by the great matrix behind the book industry, my books are in the thousands. Okay, they're definitely evaluated there. So, but I want my peoples to have the game, so we can operate and definitely in the in the space of silence and secrecy. You dig what I'm saying? When it comes to what we know and where we go. You dig what I'm saying? So yeah, that's definitely the space, man. I definitely appreciate y'all showing up here today, man. Be here tomorrow. We're going to have more to talk about. Who knows what we're going to go in on. I might be prepared, I might not, but I will be here. And that's the fucking point. You dig? So let me get up out of here. Yeah, the money religion. Love y'all, man. Stay strong in this motherfucker. I'm out. Peace.
By any means necessary, that's why I carry. By any means necessary, that's why I carry. Shouts out to X at the window with the gun, or was it the Tech 9 and KRS-One? When is the best time to make your ops run? Make they so fly. Keep my 45 looking like the FOI. Hollow rounds that sound just like a war cry. Should've stayed down, cause now it's crunch time. When I walk away and take everything that's mine, sacrifice your fate when you dropping a dime. The silver-tongued devil drinking from the grapevine. The anger on this level can be called the hate crime. Justified before I'm tried, guess that's fine. How a nigga gon' provide and he ain't got spine? These begging ass niggas that ain't got no grind. That's why I drop a stack on the Krishna shrine. I keep one in the chamber and a switch on my 9. Then my victims stand in line. They gotta take a number and better bring a lunch. Full moon, I'm under with a werewolf's hunt. My witches got intuition and riches on the hunt. My family's a dynasty, they all get a cut. We don't believe in luck. The miracles are literal with physical bucks. Tinted windows invisible in that Maybach truck. Can't be seen. 21st century on that gangster lean. Puffing on the finest green. Then I get away clean. They eyes wide shut just like fentanyl fiends. And once they open up, it's the end of your dreams. I'm a solo nigga known for taking whole teams. But I'll tell you one thing. By any means necessary, that's why I carry. By any means necessary, that's why I carry. Trying to get a homestead before they gone dead. Youngsters want bread, so shells spread like poisonous lead. That's well said, but enough of the explaining. The tough ain't complaining. A diamond in the rough that got stuck in the drainage. Do it for the love, don't be worried about your payments. Your wealth is your wealth and that cancer ain't playing. So when the day comes, nigga, who gon' make arrangements? The bitch you ain't married, or the rich who ain't sharing, or your fans that's comparing you to another. A mic's a hot knife and your life is the butter. So when you speak to God at night, please don't stutter. Just keep me in your prayers. There's many levels and layers and tricky devils and players, whether minor or major. We've been through it all. The bigger they come, the harder they fall. The older we grow, we memorizing the law. And if this is Shark Tank, I'm Spielberg making jaws. Iceberg that will melt for y'all. Ain't nobody gonna be there for your beckon and call. And you got them addictions, watch out for withdrawal. Ain't no promise for tomorrow, so praise yesterday. Things just ain't the same, but who is to blame? With no rules to the game, a bunch of fools in the way that didn't study the craft. You lucky to last if you making it past the muddy water bath, the ugly aftermath, the dummy that wants to crash. Your ops wanna blast. I came back from the future, it didn't turn into ash. Ain't no love in hip hop, but you part of the cast. Die hard for the laughs. Metaphors just gonna make you a smart ass. And I'm the brave heart wearing Jason's mask.